Welcome to this week's edition of UC Sports. Alongside Danny Barletta, I'm Justin Valverde, and we're here to tell you what's been in the news regarding all things UConn athletics.
That's right, Justin. With some of the fall sports still going on and the winter sports now all in action, there's plenty to cheer for right now in Storrs.
In this week's episode, we will cover the mishaps of both the UConn football team and the field hockey team,
the women's hockey team, and the start to both men and women's basketball,
as well as the exciting journey of the men's soccer team as they head into the NCAA Tournament. With that said, it looks like we have an exciting episode on our hands, so let's get right into it. UC Sports starts right now.
College basketball season is officially back. Both the men and women's teams started their season this past weekend, and spoiler alert, they're both still undefeated. Starting with the women, they played their season opener against Ohio State in front of a very energetic and friendly crowd on Sunday afternoon at Gamble Pavilion.
Basketball season is back, ladies and gentlemen. The UConn women's basketball team start their 2018-2019 campaign with a big win over Ohio State. The Huskies look to rely on their captains to fuel the win, but the story of today's game came from the play of rising star Megan Walker. Before tip-off today, assistant coach Chris Daly was honored for her induction into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame earlier this year. She joins an elite class of UConn greats. The Huskies started the game off really strong, making an impact on defense early. They finished the first half with 7 steals and caused Ohio State to commit 15 turnovers. 2 of those 7 steals came from Megan Walker. The Huskies really needed her to step up and fill the void of losing Gabby Williams, Kia Nurse, and Azura Stevens to the draft, and she did just that. Gino Auriemma expressed how impressed he was with her game.
She's been much more consistent. I mean, there's a lot that I'm constantly on her about every day in practice because she's got an awful lot of ability. I mean, she can do a whole bunch of different things.
The Huskies fed off Walker's energy tonight and continue to prove their offensive versatility. Katie Lou Samuelson played a great game tonight, posting a team-high 19 points to go along with 7 boards and 5 assists. Crystal Dangerfield showed tonight why she's in the conversation for one of the best point guards in the nation, finishing the game with 18 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists in their 85-53 win over Ohio State. She is coming into her second half of her career and is showing how much she has really grown as a player. Coach Gino Auriemma talks about how much confidence she really has in herself.
She has so much confidence in herself, and real confidence, not fake like she had freshman year. It's real, because she's worked really hard at it, and she knows she can make shots from a lot of different places.
The Huskies traveled to the XL Center for an exhibition game against Southern Connecticut State University on Thursday. From Gamble Pavilion, I'm Hezekiah Johnson, UCTV Sports.
Coach Gino Auriemma's squad looked pretty good, to say the least, in their first taste of meaningful basketball this year. As always, Katie Lou and the crew should be exciting to watch all season long. In a case of strange scheduling, UConn will play one more exhibition game this Thursday versus Southern Connecticut State before they resume the regular season at the Hall of Fame showcase against Vanderbilt at the Mohegan Sun Arena on Saturday. From the ladies of the court to the men, the UConn men's basketball team rang in the Dan Hurley era with 2 big wins to start the season. On Thursday night, the Huskies faced off against the Morehead State Eagles in front of a sellout crowd at Gamble Pavilion. Josh Carlton led the way with 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks in the 80-70 UConn victory. Altarique Gilbert had a nice game as well, recording 15 points and 4 assists while shooting 2 of 4 from three-point range. Even with the 10-point victory, the atmosphere was different at Gamble, and the win gave people a lot of hope to start the season. After the game, Coach Hurley was very pleased with the energy inside Gamble Pavilion.
I'd like to thank the crowd for showing up and supporting us tonight. They were awesome. The students were awesome. And as we're building this, we need them back on Sunday, just like that. Just like that. We're trying to build this thing back to that elite level.
On Sunday, that energy was back, and that hope was intensified after the Huskies beat the UMKC Kangaroos by a more convincing score of 94-66. Grad transfer Terrence Smith had a huge day, leading the team with 22 points, grabbing 5 boards, and shooting 10 of 12 from the field. After the win, Smith spoke about the boost that Coach Hurley provides the team.
He's crazy. I love it. But just playing for him and how hyped he gets, it just makes you want to go even harder.
Adams also had a big game, tallying 20 points and 3 assists and going 4 for 6 from downtown. The Huskies are off to a red-hot start, and they will travel to Madison Square Garden for the 2K Sports Classic on Thursday, where they will play old Big East rival Syracuse in the first real test for Dan Hurley and the revamped UConn squad.
This UConn football season continues to disappoint as the team falls yet again, this time to SMU at home. This game continued the Huskies' trend of a lack of defense as the end score resulted in a 62-50 shootout. The lone bright spot was the offense as David Pindell became the first Huskies quarterback to rush for 1,000 yards in the season. We have to take a quick commercial break. When we return, we'll talk field hockey with a new analyst. Stay tuned. This Sunday, number 5 UConn field hockey faced a heartbreaking loss to number 2 Maryland to end their run in the NCAA Tournament in the second round. The Huskies played neck and neck with Maryland as the Huskies were the first to score at the 23rd minute, with Maryland quickly tying it just 2 minutes later. From then, both defenses held out and forced the game into overtime with a regulation score of 1-1. Both teams looked for an opportunity to score until Maryland at the 76th minute managed to find the back of the net with a shot to the bottom of the cage, ending UConn's run in the tournament. Now, I'm joined at the desk by Ryan Kim to break down the season that was not meant to be for the UConn field hockey. Ryan, thanks for joining us. What's your overall thoughts on this year's field hockey team? Was it a disappointment or up to par?
Yeah, Justin, well, that's a really great question. I think it really depends on how you look at it as a whole, because we really wanted a repeat championship, but I don't think we were expecting it to come. All things considered, it was a reset year. They had a lot of young talent coming in, and they lost basically its core talent in Charlotte Weidner and Nina Klein, who two of them, posted some of the best numbers and represented the Huskies in history. They set records, it seemed like, every week. And that's not to downplay the skill set of this incoming team, but, because this is a team that finished in the top 5 rankings nationally still, led by fifth-year Cecile Piper, who had 23 goals, 12 assists, 79 shots. But really, it painted more of a picture of how great of a difference this team faced coming in from last year's team. And you know what this team reminds me of, Justin, is I think they really remind me of UConn women's basketball. They're both really great teams that were coming off historically great performances, and the following class just couldn't keep up with the performance that team previous was putting out. They were that good. And I think for field hockey, redshirt freshman Cheyenne Spraker started in goal this year, and 5 freshmen had key roles. That's something that's going to pay off later. But the future is bright for head coach Nancy Stevens. She just got to keep doing what she's doing, because at the end of the day, she got 500 wins at UConn, so she's doing something right. And another title's in the works. I think they're set up just fine for the future.
You mentioned this was young and growing with its talent. From what you saw, who is the player or players to watch for next season?
Yeah, well, as I had mentioned earlier, they're a really young team. They have 18 freshmen and sophomore on a team of 24. So it's going to be hard to pick just a few names, but if it's any representation that's Nancy Stevens, she's going to spread the wealth among all her players on her team, game in, game out. So really, it's going to be tough to pinpoint one specific player, but the goalkeeper, as I mentioned, she should get the starts again, and having that experience under her belt against tough, top competition like Maryland and UNC, who this year she was 0-3 against and allowed 8 goals, but I think that in itself will make her a better goalkeeper and set her up in a really great position for her sophomore campaign. She didn't concede too many goals in the entire season, only allowing about 1.5 goals per game. But they did come in bunches to teams that seemingly outplayed UConn. And I think, again, just having that experience of tournament teams that come in and face UConn and play them tough is going to really work in their favor. But if I really had to pick one player, I'd say watch out for Svea Boker. She was the team's second best performer across all statistical categories this year. And for her senior year, she should be the team's clear leader. UConn field hockey's always been reliant on strong seniors. And Boker's shown throughout this year and her career so far that she has all the potential to be that player next year, filling that void that Cecile Piper left. Follow that with the English freshman duo of Gooderham and Ray. That's a core that's stout and ready to battle back for an NCAA championship, bringing it back to Storrs.
Ryan, thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me. My pleasure.
Yep. We have to take a quick commercial break, but when we return, we have the news released today about men's soccer NCAA Tournament outlook. Stay tuned. You're watching UC Sports.
The men's soccer team displayed their grit as they battled it out in the semifinal round of the American Conference Tournament against UCF. At the start of the game, neither team let up as both teams demonstrated their desire to win with their physical defense. The tide shifted in UConn's favor in the 30th minute when Josh Burnett managed to get the Huskies on the board, putting them in the lead. Right before heading into the halftime, the Huskies extended their lead 2-0 in the 43rd minute with a shot from none other than UConn's senior Abdu Bakijam. Shortly into the second half, UCF would score off a header to put them right back into the game. UCF would manage to score once more in the 62nd minute, tying the game at 2-2. The overtime proved to be just as hard fought as the regulation, with both teams playing hard defense, resulting in 6 fouls and 2 yellow cards. With just 15 seconds left in overtime, UCF would luck out with a bounce off a free kick to give them the game 3-2. I am joined at the desk by our soccer analyst, Noam Watt, who's been following the team all year and continues to bring us updates as we head into the NCAA Tournament. Noam, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Danny.
No problem. Today the bracket was released at 1 p.m. Who will UConn be playing in the first round and where?
So the Huskies will be facing URI in the first round Thursday at 7 p.m. at Rentschler Field in East Hartford due to the construction that's already starting at Maroney Stadium here on campus. UConn was scheduled to play URI earlier this season, but the game was canceled due to rain. What's new in Storrs, Connecticut? The Rams went 15-4 this season and clinched the A-10 championship on Sunday in a 2-0 win over George Mason. If UConn were to win against URI, they would play at number 2 seeded Indiana on Sunday, November 18th at 1 p.m. Very early in the season, the Huskies fell 1-0 at Indiana, and the Hoosiers will begin their tournament run with a 17-2-1 record. That game would be played in Bloomington.
The Huskies dropped 3 of their last 4 games, including the brutal loss to UCF in the last minute of the AAC tournament. What does this team need to work on to survive and advance in the NCAA tournament?
The key for the Huskies will be to play a complete 90 minutes. You hear coaches talking about playing through the final whistle all the time, and that's something that Ray Reid's squad has struggled with a lot this year. They often fell behind only to be bailed out late by Baki Jam. In the AAC tournament, that happened once again against Temple as they fell behind 1-0 before thundering back for a 3-1 win in the first round. In that matchup against UCF, they jumped out to a 2-0 lead, as Danny mentioned, but they let up a tough goal towards the end of regulation and an absolute heartbreaker as the teams were really about to head to penalty kicks. This team will need a balanced offensive attack around Baki Jam and will need to play a full 90 in order to have a chance at revenge against Indiana. This should be an interesting run for the Huskies, who dazzled at home this season but really struggled on the road. I'm really excited to see how it all plays out.
All right, Noam, thanks for being with us today. We got one last break, but on the other side of that, we'll talk to you about the newest member of the UConn women's basketball team, Daniela Ciriello. Stay tuned. The UConn women's hockey team had a big weekend at home, taking on 2 conference opponents. After falling to Boston University 4-1 on Friday, the Huskies rallied back to beat the University of Maine by that same score on Saturday. Catherine Crawley had a big weekend, assisting on the only UConn goal on Friday and recording a goal and 2 assists in the win on Saturday. It was her 5th goal of the season, and she now leads the team in points with 13. Goalie Morgan Fisher settled down on Saturday after allowing an early goal, and she shut out the Black Bears for the rest of the game, recording 32 saves in the process. The Huskies are now 6-5-1 on this season, and they will take on Boston College at home this Friday.
Sunday marked a special day for the UConn women's basketball team, in a day where the Huskies honored assistant coach Chris Daly and celebrated their home opener win versus Ohio State. The biggest story comes in the form of 6-year-old Daniela Ciriello.
What's your favorite food?
Chicken and fries.
Yeah. You got a lot of friends on the team with that.
The team held a draft day for their newest member through Team Impact. Team Impact is a national nonprofit organization that connects children facing serious or chronic illnesses with college athletic teams. Since 2010, they have matched nearly 1,600 children with more than 500 colleges and universities. On Sunday, the Huskies welcomed Daniela.
Daniela's strength and perseverance make her a perfect fit for UConn women's basketball, and we are so honored to have her join our community.
Daniela Ciriello is a native of Plainville, Connecticut, and has been diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder, Cooley's anemia, in 2017, a life-threatening anemia that requires regular blood transfusion and extensive ongoing medical care. Through Team Impact, Daniela was able to connect with the women's basketball, as she was also at first night with the team in October. Yesterday, with her family in the crowd, the players next to her, and head coach Gino Auriemma by her side, Daniela signed her letter of intent, officially becoming an honorary member of the team. As a member, she'll be able to attend practices, games, team dinners, and other events.
Don't worry about the line. You don't have to stay on the line. Just go anywhere you want with that. There you go. Got it? All right.
Senior Katie Lou Samuelson stated, "We've only hung out a few times with her, and she's had such an impact on all of us. Just seeing how she is every day and seeing how positive she is really makes you think about how grateful you are for the things in your life. I'm so glad that we're a part of this, and I think it's such a great program. I hope every team on campus ends up doing this, because what I've seen from videos and stuff, it's a really amazing process to be a part of."
Hey.
Thank you.
All right.
To find out more information about Team Impact, please go to www.goteamimpact.org.
Well, that's it for this week. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at UCTV Sports and on Instagram at UCTV Channel 14, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at UCTV Channel 14 to keep up to date on all things UConn athletics.
For Danny Barletta and the crew, I'm Justin Valverde. Have a great week. And go Huskies!